What is up, everyone? JD here. I hope you're all doing well today. I'm going to be doing my full review for the Cjrb Ekko. Let's get into it. All right, so if you've watched the channel and you're not new here, you've already seen a review for the Cjrb Ekko, but that is because I did a full review for the Cjrb Ekko button lock. This one is the liner lock variant. I wanted to check it out and I wanted to see what variations, if any, there are between the two. So let's go ahead and jump into some size comparisons first. First, we're going to bring out the other Cjrb Ekko that I own, and that is going to be the button lock variant. And as you can see, they're the same size. Surprise, surprise. Here it is against the Cjrb Praxis, and as you can see, the Praxis is a much larger knife. Let's go ahead and move these two comparisons out of the way, but we will be bringing that Ekko back out here in a little bit. So we're going to go ahead and bring out the Benchmade Bug Out. You can see this is about the same size as a Bug Out. We'll also bring out the ProTech Mordax for the full size reference. As you can see, this is more of a medium knife, right in line with what you would see for a bug out sized knife. Moving that ProTech Mordax out the way, we're going to go ahead and bring out the Spyderco Shaman. You can tell the Shaman is a much larger knife. I don't know why it has the shakes today. And we'll go ahead and bring out the Demco AD 20.5, which is going to be about the same size as this knife once you line them up. You got a little bit more tip out there than you do on the AD 20.5. Let's do some thickness profile comparisons. We won't do the Cjrb Ekko right now because I do want to do that, but we're going to go ahead and compare this against, whoops, and one of the things we're going to talk about is that action here in a second. But you can see with the little bit of contouring that you have on the Ekko is a little bit thicker than the Demco AD 20.5, and I haven't done it yet myself against the Bug Out, and just a hair bigger than the Bug Out, not a lot. So before we do the thick, actually let's go ahead and bring the other Ekko out here and do the thickness profile comparisons. I'm gonna have to flip these to get these to match up, but you can see with the contoured scales, you have just a touch more thickness on the liner lock variant. And let's go ahead and confirm that. Did that zero out, guys? Okay, I did it so fast, I don't think I even caught it. So let's go ahead, we'll get it to the thickest part of the knife. Hold it in there. So, all right, 11.993 thickness. Let's check it against the flat scaled. Yeah, so 11 versus 11.93. So you might as well say 11 versus 12. Let's just round it out. Just out of curiosity, on my two examples. So 2.72 thickness on the blade stock there in front of the thumb hole. And interestingly, let me make sure this is zero. Yep, it is zero. Do it in front of the thumb hole again. 3.28 in front of the thumb hole. 2.74. So thinner body, thinner blade stock. And let's make sure this is zeroed. Okay. And 56 thousandths behind the edge on the button lock. What? Hold on. $60 thousandths behind the edge on the liner lock. Okay, I was about to say, so we'll call them 60 thousandths with maybe a degree of variance happening on them. So I was like, what the heck? I can understand the thickness And let me show you guys where I'm hitting it. So I'm hitting it right here, 3.27. I do push into the metal because the metal's not going to give. That way I know it's flush. And you can see I'm hitting it on the same spot here. I am wobbling a little bit. So 2.76. So everything's skinnier except behind the edge thickness on the button lock. But what I'm surprised by that, because I obviously haven't done that since before getting on camera. But what I really wanted to check out is because the button lock feels heavy with the full steel liners, I wanted to see 3.7 ounces on the scale. I feel like this one feels lighter in hand. 3.5, so 0.2 ounces. Maybe it's placebo, but I did feel like the contoured scales on the liner lock variant felt lighter. Let's go ahead and jump into the review. We'll bring that button lock variant out here that is apparently skinnier all the way around and barely weighs more. The micarta, really smooth, and it feels really well done. It is not a grippy or gritty micarta that you see on some cheaper knives. But anyway, it is really well done. You have just a hint of contouring here. So hopefully you're able to see that contouring right there on the scales. Nice and chamfered all the way down. I love the ergonomics on here. It feels really good, even with the knockdown, which I'm going to jump here into that in just a second as well. It feels really good because for me, I'm landing right in front of the cutout, right behind the cutout, and I have just enough room to have just a little bit of space back there with my larger hands. Now I can go into the cutout, which is still very comfortable, and I hang just a skosh off the back, and it feels really good in this position, to be honest with you. The nice thickness back here, or the thickness through this part here, has a lot of space for my hands to land on, which I appreciate with the larger hands. The stone wash on the blade, very consistent, very good looking. Pocket clip is reversible, deep carry fold over. The nested liners are very well tucked in there, especially when you put the blade at the half stop. You can see they're nested in there, very well hidden. Your lanyard pin has a push through or slide through hole there for your lanyard to go through. I did try to look at it the best that I could, and it does not appear that the blade is close to that, but because you can see it's not even close to that, so you could go over it if you have thick, but I like the fact that they put the hole in there. That's nice, and it doesn't seem to jiggle. There's no noise or anything like that with it being like that on the button lock or this one. Same jimping here. Again, consistent stone wash, consistent edge from the factory, very slicey. It has performed really well. Fantastic blade shape because it went through the knife box that I broke down really easy. Actually, I think this one was an Amazon package. The box is a little bit bigger. Went through there, very slicey. Felt like it pushed through the material without dragging at all. You know, having a decent behind the edge thickness. Not great, but not bad. I would just call it good. I love the tip here because for the draw cuts, utility cuts, pinch cuts, whatever it is that you're doing for detailed work, it works really nice. And then for the choke up position, for me with the larger hands, I'm right out there at the tip. I think right about here is where I'm working with so I don't slip out. And I love the blade shape on here. Really nice accent color on the pivot with the micarta. I think they complement each other very well. Lock up here coming in at about 40 to 50%. And if you look at where it locks up here, it's very clean still. So it's a little hard to tell, but I would probably say that's really 50% where it looks like it stops on the furthest edge, not the meat part. The meat part is probably more in the 40 range, which is why I'm saying, you know, it's barely covering the whole blade stock, but it's a good solid lockup. And the action on here is really good. Now I've had this about 4 days. Having the other Ekko shortened what I would say the time needed to assess, but the detent for it being a liner lock feels very good. I would say it's I'd say this is like a 4.5 out of 10 for detent. I would say this. I would say this is a solid 6. I would say this is probably really close to a 5, but giving it 4.5 because it feels a little weak for the reverse flick. Feels good for the top. No, I'd probably say it's a solid 4.5. Yeah, it's so smooth because once it breaks, they did a really good job with the amount of contact surface here on the button and the bearings. So it feels really smooth after the break. Whereas this one, because it's a detent, your hand's really not engaged. It's flying. So you really don't feel the after effect like you do a little bit on this one. But this one feels like a solid 6. So definitely better detent. It's a very interesting comparison just within its own family. So this one's thinner. It has a thinner blade stock to start with, which was really surprising. I mean, I can't really tell by the naked eye. It's too tough to call. But thinner, 0.2 ounces, 0.02 ounces heavier. This one here, thicker, but because of the contouring on the scales, even though it's thicker, it ends up feeling really good in hand filling, whereas this one you can tell it's thin. I'm not really getting a huge difference for the knockdown here. That knockdown has to be there for the thumb hole. So you have that same knockdown regardless, so the design cue doesn't really suffer. Being this one's contoured, it is chamfered, so you can get in there for that thumb flick. This one here, obviously, really smooth on the close. This one here, it's a fall shut because, you know, it's a button lock. From a fidget perspective, this one definitely has more factor to it being the button lock. Definitely more fidgety. I actually am tempted to try to just take a couple of holes right here in the thick part, you know, just to drill it out to see if I can reduce the weight. I think that would absolutely get it close to like 3.25, making this super lightweight without feeling like it's cheapened the knife. This one, I guess, coming in at 3.5, it does feel like there's substantial weight there, like it makes it feel solid, but it's really not. It's not feeling as heavy in hand. And I know it's only 0.02 ounces, but this just feels heavier for whatever reason. And I cannot explain how they did that other than the fact that they made this very skinny by comparison over the... Oops, I gotta flip it. Sorry, guys. I mean, it is definitely... Is it? Wait a second. Am I falling? Hold on. Let me see. I mean, it measured skinnier for sure. I think I'm just not. Damn, it's hard to see where I'm at. It did measure skinnier, right? Am I going crazy? Hold on. Am I going crazy? Maybe it's because of where I'm at on the knife. All right, so 10.95. Yeah, maybe that's just not as much as I think it is. I can't see it. I can't see it. It's crazy. It's crazy. But do I have a preference out of the two of these? That's a great question. Man, I really like them both. My only complaint about this knife, two complaints. The access to the lock bar, they knocked it down too much here. I would have liked this to have jimping instead of being chamfered. It's really tight to get in there. And, you know, I know fidget factor is not as important or shouldn't be as important as on the performance of the knife, but I'm being honest, I fidget with my knives. Sorry, that was my fault. The whole knife slipped out when I was doing that. And after a little bit of fidgeting with this one to, you know, test the action and everything like that. Why am I missing so much today? Am I just, I guess it's not as sharp on this hole, but that's not real. It's not really that big of a complaint. Honestly, it's not a complaint at all. It's just a little tight in there. And actually what I plan to do is I plan to knock down just a little bit of the micarta to get it a little bit out. It's going to be very minimal. I'm actually going to do it with the liner in so I can see when I separate it. I'll put the liner in and the vice grip together so I can make sure that I'm not too close to where you're seeing that liner, but I'm just going to knock that little bit away, and I think that would make the difference here for me for the access to this one. I really like it a lot, but I think I have to give it to the button lock overall. I think for EDC, it's got a good enough detent on it to where I'm satisfied with the flicking and the front flipping, and I have really great factor to it, but it's just, I like it just a little bit better because I don't have any complaints about it. Now, the other thing that I did want to touch on, the stop pin is the equal complaint for both of these. They're very close to the edge of the blade, and I was very disappointed to see that. Where it's landing, I don't know if you'll be able to see it clearly on this one or not. See that black line? That black line is where the stop pin's hitting. See it right there? See how close that is to the edge of the blade? Really, really close. So it's a solid line hitting right in front of where that plunge line starts is where it's hitting. So after a few sharpenings, you're going to hit that. So you're going to need to put in your own sharpening choil. The good thing is, even though it is close, it's far enough back so that you can put a little sharpening notch on here as you go up. As long as you stay in front of where that black line is, right there, you should be good. You just have to stay in front of that plunge line and add your sharpening choil out here and you should be good, but it's very, very close. And that one's more, I think that's more of a complaint over top of the lock bar access in my opinion. I'm not going to really do alternative recommendations. This is actually my favorite budget knife, overtaking the Moyarl, which I still love a lot. But for EDC, I feel like the Moyarl is a little bit more of a chunkier knife than these two are. These carry nicer. They're a little bit more slim, so they take up less space. I'm able to carry other gear, but they're still hand-filling enough to where they're very comfortable in hand for me, which I really appreciate on these knives. I need a knife, even when they're medium, to fill my hand, to give me space to relax my hand and move my grip out so that I can do whatever cutting task that it is that I'm needing. I don't want to feel like I'm scrunched up. If I have minimal space, I want to feel like I'm locked in so that I'm not going to slide around. This little groove here actually adds that. I hang off the back a tiny bit, but it's not enough to where it's uncomfortable. I still get, you know, 3/4 of my pinky on there when I scrunch my hands up, but this nice knife gives me enough room to spread out, and I have good hand position, and it performs really well, all for under $50. This is a killer deal. Again, AR RPM 9 is going to give you similar performance to 9CR. It's not going to hold an edge forever, but if you're EDCing and you're just opening stuff and you're not cutting heavy materials every day, you could probably go months without having to strop or sharpen this. You don't even need to really strop 9CR every time you use it. You can do it once a week and it's going to go right back to take a fantastic edge. So this is a really easy knife to recommend. I really do like this model a lot. I love the fact that if you don't like button locks, they offered it right out the gate in a liner lock variant that performs really well, and they have really good finishes on here. Looks great, nice stone wash on it, really good option for anyone out there on a budget that doesn't have or doesn't feel comfortable spending a lot of money on a pocket knife that they're going to use and abuse. Like, I totally get it. This is perfect for that. I think this is the right amount of money to spend, and you're going to really get great performance out of here. I love these two models. I love the Ekko model, but I love these two variants. This is a really easy knife to recommend. I hope everyone enjoyed this video. I want to give a shout out to everyone out there that does like, comment, and has subscribed. I appreciate all the love and support. I love you guys. I hope you have a fantastic week. Until next time, peace.